What up, guys? Back here on another episode of Worst Case Scenario. Today, we are going to do the AFC East. We had planned on doing these. We're going to put a video out every day based on the divisions, talking about who they drafted. Did they get better? Did they not get better? Maybe a best player. And so we're starting with the AFC East. I'm Bill. You got D'Lo. You got Bennett here. It's Worst Case Scenario. We also have a special guest here today. He's not big on being on camera. We got old Charlie Knight. He might say something. He might not. But it's all good. All right, we're going to start with those Buffalo Bills, man. They finished the season last year at 13-3, first in the division. A solid draft. I mean, that's a very good team. They've gotten good things in free agency. I had labeled as their first pick was their best pick, Dalton Kincaid.
Oh, by far.
Oh, yeah. Tight end from Utah. Some would say the best. I think Meyer from Notre Dame was the best one. But they're set, man. They had 6 picks. They got a tight end, 2 offensive guards, inside linebacker, a wide receiver, and a cornerback. Guys, what do you think they did? D'Lo, what do you think?
I think the Bills are a case of the rich getting richer, man. I mean, they just they stacked on their talent. That Dalton Kincaid pick was a huge pick for them. They needed another tight end. They got Dalton Knox there.
Yep.
And so they're just going to put another badass tight end on the other side. He's going to help. He's not much of a blocker. He's a down the field tight end.
He's a big kid though.
Yeah, right? Big kid, but he's not much of a blocker. I expected them to go with the pass catcher in the first round. I thought it might be a receiver, but they went with Dalton Kincaid and things like that. They stacked their talent. I believe that they expect for Dorian Williams, the linebacker that they drafted, to step in for Tremaine Edmonds, who signed with the Bears this offseason. They still need a workhorse running back. That's one thing that the Bills don't have is a surefire number 1 3-down running back.
But they do everything by committee.
Yeah. And so, they've done quite well without that up to this point, but they definitely need to add that. But like I said, I think that this draft was just the rich getting richer with the Bills.
Bennett, man, now they went in. They needed an inside linebacker, they got it. They needed a receiver, they got it. They needed a corner, they got it. They needed an offensive guard, they got it. The only thing they didn't get was a defensive tackle. What stood out about them to you in this draft?
The Dalton Kincaid pick was a home run right off the bat. But the guard, Osiris Torrance in the I believe it was the second round, that stood out to me.
I agree.
It was something that they needed.
Solidifying that line.
Yeah, and these guys are Super Bowl contenders anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're just adding a piece. And then with their following draft picks, all they really did was build up their depth chart.
I agree.
You got the receiver, Justin Shorter. He's also a kick returner.
Yep.
And I think that they thought about that when they did a lot of these picks was, hey, we just don't want to do our regular team offense and defense. They was thinking about special teams when they picked these guys.
Yeah.
So I think they did an excellent job. They didn't have a whole lot of capital, but I think they did a good job with what they had.
I agree, because they only had 6 picks in the draft. We'll see some teams that had 13 picks in the draft, 12 picks. Yeah. They only had 6. They maximized, and let's be honest, it's a stacked team already. Mostly what they were going for was depth, and they added it. So next up, if you guys don't have anything to put on the Bills, the Miami Dolphins, who finished 9-8, second in the division last year. They had their first pick not until the second round with the 20th pick then because, hey, you can't tamper and get away with the NFL sitting down on that. But they needed a tight end. They didn't go get it. They were looking that they needed a guard. They didn't get it. They didn't get an inside linebacker. Didn't get an outside linebacker. They got a running back. They only have 4 picks in this draft. Not a lot. What do you guys think? I had the best pick as being Cam Smith, which was their first pick in the second round, cornerback from South Carolina. D'Lo, what do you think? Tell me, man.
After forfeiting the first pick for tampering, they did what they could do. But they also made some moves this offseason. They acquired Jalen Ramsey.
A lot of moves.
They acquired Jalen Ramsey. And as far as linebacker goes, they're hoping that Bradley Chubb turns out there. He's going on his second season there with with Miami. So they're hoping that Bradley Chubb turns out to be something. Yeah, man, they did what they could do. They did end up acquiring a tight end. They got him with the 197th pick, so it was late. So, I mean, I don't know what they're expecting of him, but they did end up getting a tight end and things like that. But, yeah, there was plenty of holes to fill, and they just did what they could do with the 4 picks that they had. I mean, they didn't start drafting until the 51st pick. So,
When did they get that tight end, bud?
The 197th pick.
Oh, shoot.
Yep. So, deep in the, would that be deep into the 5th round?
Yeah. You ain't got to worry about bang or bust. I mean,
Yeah.
if the guy turns out to even make the team, he's still bang.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. Bennett, what do you think? With those 4 picks, and it's not just the 4 picks. You got to think, what did they do in free agency? And they landed a bunch in free agency.
They did plenty in free agency. They didn't have a lot of capital, as I said, as Buffalo, but what they did was their team on the fringe, okay? Like you said, they're 9-8.
Yeah.
They're
second in the division last year.
I know, but you're still
Not enough
outside
to
looking
pass
in,
Buffalo.
as far as I'm concerned, especially in the AFC. 9-8 is, if it gets you a wild card, you're lucky.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
So I don't think they get a wild card. I don't think they did enough in the draft. Yes, they did make moves in free agency, but I just don't think it's enough. I don't mind what they did with their picks, but I mean, when you're limited like that, I mean, what are you going to do?
Well, I think no matter what they did in the draft and no matter what they did in free agency, everything hinges on whether or not Tua can finish the season.
Exactly.
So if you're starting quarterbacks going down every year, you're not going to make it very far. So
yeah, and so what'd you do for protection? You waited until the 7th round and tackle.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not saying I'm a GM because I'm not, but it's like, good God, we're just waiting for this kid to go down again. I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, they did what they could. But as far as I'm concerned, if you're not going offensive line, something like that to protect Tua, then you might be going in the wrong direction.
Absolutely.
Agree.
Absolutely.
All right, next up.
Boo!
Yeah, that's right. As a Jet fan myself, I hate those Patriots. Those Patriots finished 8-9 last year, all right? 3rd in the division. They picked their first pick, 17th in the first round. They had 12 picks. This was by far the most in this division. 12 picks, that's a lot. We know Belichick. I mean, hell, Bennett's been named after Belichick. We've called him before. Dude can pull out people from a drive-through and have them start at guard or at tight end in the NFL, we swear. But at 12 picks, they needed cornerback and receiver. They got 3 cornerbacks in this draft. Still, my first pick, and I mean, you're going to hear this a lot because it was their first pick, but Christian Gonzalez, cornerback from Oregon, that stood out to me. That is a playmaker that's going to start from day one. He's going to make a difference on that defense. D'Lo, tell me, what do you think?
I think that they did what they do. They added depth. They loaded up on picks this year and added depth like they always do. Guys that they can rotate in and out like Belichick does. I'm in full agreement with you. Christian Gonzalez, probably the best cornerback in the draft.
At least the most surefire, I think.
Yeah.
Not the hardest hitter. I'll tell you what. After watching that highlight, with Witherspoon, that dude is wrong.
To see that guy get fired.
He's a headhunter.
What surprised me was them taking a kicker and a punter in the draft this year.
Yes, yeah. I know both, and they took one early. It wasn't the earliest.
No, it wasn't the earliest. There was a kicker taken in the 3rd round this year.
They took one in the 4th round, and I think they took one of their other ones. I think they took the place kicker in the 4th, and then they took the punter, I think, in the 6th round.
Yes.
So I mean, but this is Belichick at his best.
It's hard to argue with the genius.
Yeah. But I've seen him go out and have a draft where he has 5 draft picks, and then he has this one where he has 12. He is a mad genius. Tell me what you think, Bennett. What do you have labeled here for the Patriots and how they did in the draft?
I think besides the kicker and the punter, I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. Maybe I got a little discrepancy with when they picked them, but other than that, like, this guy just seemed like he just nailed it again.
Yeah.
I mean, how old is he? Like 70 years old? I want to bring up one other thing. I actually talked to, I think it was you on draft night, and you're watching all these other teams, 32 other teams. And when they go to their war room and you got like agents, you got scouts, you got all these guys all sitting at a table like
He told me
6,
about
12
those.
guys.
Yeah.
And then you go to the Patriots and it's just Belichick. And there's one guy handing water. And he's basically telling the rest of them, like, stay the fuck in the corner. I'll let you know when I need another water. It was so awesome to see
That just shows
and he
who,
did this stuff himself. I mean, oh
that
my
just shows
God.
who runs that team, man. There's no GM there. He is the head coach, GM, president, whatever. He's just, the only person hiring him is Kraft.
Yeah, and I don't think Kraft is the one. I think when Kraft comes, or Belichick's walking down the hallway and he's crossing past Kraft probably one of the guys that
steps to the side. Yeah.
Agrees.
But yeah, I think he did an awesome job. I mean, he went multiple different positions, stacked up on the depth. The players that he got, I thought he got good value. Gonzalez, Keon White, Marte Mapu, Jake Andrews in the center. I mean, he went off.
He loads up and he finds those. Here's what Belichick does best. He finds those star studs, these guys that can start in the NFL, and he finds them in the middle and the deep of the draft.
And
That's
I
what
think
makes him so
it gets
good.
better when they actually have a off season.
Mm-hmm.
Like it refocuses him. Like he's like you said, a mad genius.
Yeah,
He gets so pissed. He does not like to lose.
and I hate it.
And he goes crazy when he gets a second chance. And that's what he did this year. And
I
Man.
agree.
I do not like to watch the Patriots win, but I mean, they win for a reason.
I just don't know if, even with the 12 picks, Gonzalez was great, and he's found other key guys that he can stick in those roles. I just don't know if they did enough to really advance this year. I don't know how much farther they're going to go.
Well, they got to get past the Bills, and then you got the Jets that are getting better with Rodgers and things like that. So they got a
and is Mac Jones the guy?
That's the thing. They got a steep hill. They got a steep hill to climb, and there's no guarantee that Mac Jones is going to be their guy.
Well, he didn't.
So,
I mean, he didn't have a pick that he really could. I mean, Christian Gonzalez was a solid pick. I guess you could have went quarterback there, but maybe he didn't like.
It would have had to have been Will Levis at that point, right?
Yeah,
so
he must have seen something he didn't like.
Yeah.
Not a fan of Hooker from Tennessee either. So
yeah.
But we're going to move on to the star of this. The New York Jets, finishing 7-10 last year, fourth in the division. They ended up moving back in the first round. They picked 15th because of the deal for Rodgers. I was not a big fan of their first pick, and Will McDonald the fourth. No, it wasn't. To me, their best pick, Joe Tittman, center from Wisconsin. I praise that pick. You don't see centers that are 6'6" in the NFL that often. Everything I read about him, it's great. I wanted him. It helps shore up that offensive line, and that was the most important thing in this draft. They did not get that tackle that they wanted in the first round, but they got their center in the second round. That's my best pick. They had 7 picks in this draft, and they went out and they tried to fill these holes. I was happy overall with the draft. I wasn't happy with the first round. I felt like instead of going out and getting an edge rusher like that when we're loaded, we already have 4 starters on it, but we do rotate. I felt like they could have got Gonzalez, like we talked about, something like that. They didn't. They got McDonald. We're moving on. But Tittman, to me, was the best pick that they got in the second round. Dila, tell me what you think about the New York Jets and what they did in this draft.
I was highly surprised at the first pick, considering that was a depth move.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask you, I like that Tittman pick as well. But would you rather, as a Jets fan, would you have rather had him or the guy I was calling Jingleheimer Smith? I'm trying to find his.
Oh, John Michael.
Yeah,
John Michael Schmidt. Tittman, to me, was the number 1 center. I would have been happy going away with either one of them. I was glad that Tittman was there when we drafted and we took him, because I was also worried, because I was like, oh my God, what if Notre Dame's tight end's there? Michael Mayer. Because I loved him. I thought he was the best tight end, but
I didn't watch Little Kincaid. Now, of course,
I didn't either. Yeah, he's not a big Utah. It's not like, you know what I'm saying.
Well, if Mayer can block, then he's more rounded than Kincaid. Like I said, Kincaid is definitely a sending down the field. He's a deep threat, tight end, things like that. You can line him up as a receiver at times, and so if Mayer's got blocking ability and things, and you guys would know, you guys watched Notre Dame a lot more than me last year. So if Mayer's got blocking ability, he's going to help out more in the run game. He's going to help out when your quarterback rolls out, things like that.
I forget about you. You didn't watch a whole lot of college football since that scandal happened at your university.
Yeah.
Neither here nor there, but old Penn State.
ISU?
Penn State.
But no, I like the second pick of Tippmann. It reminds me of, they took Nick Mangold second in a draft of, 10,
not
12.
second pick in the first round, but 2006.
Yeah.
It was great when we got to Brickashaw, Ferguson, and him. I really thought this year was going to be 2006 again, because I really was hoping that they would have went out and got Broderick Jones from Georgia, but the Patriots, who were right in front of us, decided to trade at the last second. They traded that 14th pick away to the Steelers, and they got him before we did.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of felt like they felt just kind of rushed at the time, and that's why they ended up taking Will McDonald in the first round. Like I said, not a fan of it, but there was some jokes like Ryan Clark come out and said that New York was making Aaron Rodgers feel at home by not getting him help on the offensive line. Well, the Jets shut him up by going out on day 2 and getting – because they only had one pick on day 2. They went out. They got that center who can also play guard if need be. This is a guy that I feel like you could plug in and play right away, and you can – interchangeable. That's what the Jets like. That's what Joe Douglas likes. It's what Robert Saleh likes. They like interchangeable offensive linemen that can go and play. So I'm happy with this. Bennett, tell me, what stood out about the Jets draft to you?
I got a couple things. So a while ago I said about the Dolphins being a fringe team.
Yes.
The Jets were also a fringe team, but they were a fringe team on the uptick last year.
Yes.
They overachieved, whatever you want to call it, overperformed. They showed their true colors. They got a good roster. They got a good base. They were solid. Then you go out and you get Rodgers, and that's my next question is, did Rodgers have any kind of influence? He only got there a few days before the draft. Did he have any influence in the draft, which we all know he always wanted more influence in Green Bay? Did he have any influence?
I don't believe so.
No,
because
I don't either.
They wouldn't
Because
have taken Will McDonald.
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
They're. I mean, they got a running back. They got a tight end at the end. They did do center and tackle. No receivers. I mean, I really don't think he was involved in it.
But we had already got the receiver. I feel like the Jets on receivers, I was not a fan of us trading
Well, I
away
don't think
Elijah
they're
Moore.
stopped.
But
I don't think they're locked and ready to go. I think they got starters. I don't think they have a lot of depth.
well, no, but you got to think this is a team who had the offensive rookie and defensive rookie of the year last year. You don't see that happen too often. They got a
you don't
great
see
young
lightning
receiver,
strike
Garrett
too
Wilson.
often twice either.
No, that's true.
But as far as the receiver position goes, I think you might see the Jets grab some undrafted free agents.
Oh, yeah?
Just because they have so much money wrapped up in the receiver position right now with Lazard and Corey
Hardman.
Davis and things like that, man.
We brought in Hardman from Mikael Hardman from the Chiefs. He came in, signed a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
We have Davis still. Davis, we didn't know if he was going to be a cap casualty because of how much money and we could have cut him this year and got it off the books. They didn't. They don't look like they're going to go that way so far. The receiver room looks good. The tight end room, it looks pretty good too. The running backs, I mean, look, last year we drafted Bryce Hall, but then went out as soon as the draft was done. Thank God we did, and we went and got Zonovan Knight, who they call Bam Knight, and we needed him towards the end.
Yeah, he did.
But when you look at this team, finished 7-10. We started out 7-4, lost our last 6 games. I think
a lot of
the
it had to do with injuries. And I'm not
Yeah.
sure to speak up for your team, but it happens to a lot of NFL teams.
inconsistent quarterback play when you're using 3 quarterbacks last year. Actually, 4 for the Jets. Saw playing time with Strebler coming in. Now, I believe if he stays healthy, I believe that Rodgers makes a huge impact, even if it's 10 wins. Like I'm going to be realistic. 10, I think at the most 11 wins, but I do see them getting a wild card and making the playoffs this year. I see them making the biggest jump in this division. I respect what the Dolphins did. I respect the players. Think about that. They went and got Jalen Ramsey. Like, you know what I'm saying? They have 2 corners there that can play that coverage that is excellent.
Yeah.
So
now their secondary is going to be badass, man.
now you think about this, all right? Think about the quarterbacks in this division. You have, I love us bringing in our quarterback, but he's not the number one. Josh Allen is still the number one quarterback in that division. He's a young
No,
quarterback.
now you're looking at the Patriots. They got the weakest.
Mac Jones.
in the division.
Well, no, you say that, but I'm not so big on Tuasa, whatever you say his name. I'm not so big on Miami's. I don't know if he's legit. Why? Because he doesn't stay healthy.
If he's healthy, it's.
But that's a big if in this league.
Sure, I understand.
But
I said that with Rodgers. If Rodgers could stay healthy, that's why the Jets needed to make sure that line was set up for them.
But yeah, I believe if Tua is healthy, he's a 4,000 plus yard quarterback. I believe he's probably putting up 25 plus touchdowns. I don't see Mac Jones doing that. I believe he's in the 3,500.
For 4 or 5, 6 games, he was a freak last year.
No, I think that was the year before was when he came out, and he was like, holy shit. Yeah, last year was a down year for Mac Jones.
He was partly conscious and partly unconscious for half the season.
It doesn't help that his offensive coordinator was the ex-head coach of the Detroit Lions, Matt Patricia. So when Philadelphia,
You think he likes to see big hits so much that he put his quarterback in harm's way just to see him make it? It kind of looked like that last year.
He's telling opposite defenders, "You're not a hitter. You're not a hitter."
So it's early. I know it's early because you still have free agency. You still have time before the season starts. A lot of time.
Team is going to take 20 undrafted free agents, and half of them are probably going to make the squad.
Yeah, but then, like I said,
and then you got another half of them that's probably going to make an impact on that team. Happens every year.
But so far with free agency, I'm saying most of the top stars in free agency, they're done. The draft is done now. I know there's still things that are going to happen, but in this division, guys, I think that we all agree that the kingpin is still the Buffalo Bills.
Absolutely.
I think we all think that they're going to win the division.
They're absolutely still.
I think the Jets ranked second as far as the roster.
I agree.
But I think the Patriots took a huge step forward. And I think the Dolphins stayed the same. So
you think even with all that they, not just the draft, but with free agency, this is what I'm asking you guys. All right. At the end of the 2023 season in this division, rank them for me. Like, I think we all agree Bills number one.
I'll go Buffalo.
I say Jets
I'll go
too.
the Jets.
What do you say?
And then I'll go Dolphins, Patriots. I think the Patriots are going to be number 4.
Okay. What do you say?
But I just, for some reason, that's with me thinking that Tua is going to stay healthy this year.
I go Buffalo, king in the division. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Belichick shocks us.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Wow.
Really?
Then you got the
He just
Jets.
hates me. It's like when Connor comes on and he's always like, even though he's a fan of Connor, he's like, Connor's going to lose. And it just drives me nuts. Now, I think the Bills 12, 13 games this year. I think the Jets 10, max 11 wins. I see the Patriots pulling it out, getting third in the division. And I know the Dolphins added a lot, but with uncertainty, I think the other 3 teams, they got their quarterback. They're going to go in. I think with the uncertainty of can this guy play 17 games and stay out of the injury tent. And that's a big question mark for me. So I have the Dolphins finishing last.
And I think the Dolphins released the guy who was a dependable backup, which was Bridgewater. I don't know who their backup is now, man. So,
I'll tell you who it is. It's Mike freaking White from the Jets.
That's right. And you've always bragged about it.
Yes, I did. I have the T-shirt that my son got me for Christmas. It says Mike fucking White. I felt like he went there, and I believe that our white receiver, the little white boy,
Barrios.
Yeah, Barrios went there. But they also signed like 6 former Jets. I believe that they also signed our offensive lineman that from Indiana that we had gotten. He's been in the league for a while, but he had a mullet, and he was always at the Ranger games, hockey games, down in like huge cups of beer. Love the guy. I was like, he's entertaining, but he was a backup guard, is what he was. Nothing but a glorified backup. So Dolphins did add 6 former Jet players from last year on that, and I believe they all followed after Mike White going there. So I don't see, even with me saying that about the Dolphins, I still don't see any of these teams having less than 7 wins. Like this is a good division.
Huge division. It always is, though.
Yes. So I look forward to it, man. And
who put the Patriots last year?
Yes.
Yeah, I picked Dolphins the last.
And like I said, that's all.
Bet against Belichick.
That's what I said.
Fucking dare you.
I just don't bet against Belichick. Like I said, Miami they have key pieces, but I feel like the Jets made the biggest march forward towards this. Plus, you got to remember, longest streak of not making the playoffs in the NFL. I've not made it since 2010.
And
We're over it.
Phil believes that they're going to make the playoffs,
I
but
do.
if they do what Aaron Rodgers does, they're going to go to the playoffs and lose. So all that means is a late pick to the Packers.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
so.
Eagle's trying to say that Aaron Rodgers come to New York, ruin the draft for next week or next year.
I don't know. I know he's doing stuff there that they said he did not do already. He's only been there for a week.
Talking to teammates?
No, he's there. He's already been working out.
LSD
He's got-
is
he
the
don't do
highest
that
star.
He's got the players there. He's been throwing to Lazard. He's been throwing to these guys. He was at the Knicks game. He was at the Rangers
He's
game.
been
They're
on
having
mushrooms
players.
since he's been in New York.
I'll take it. I don't care. But let me ask you this. So,
Eagle's been shipping.
all right. So, out of 7 playoff spots, tell me how many in this division do you guys believe? At least 4 teams. How many are going to be playoff teams?
Ooh,
2.
2. I agree
2 for sure.
Well, if you're saying that and you're saying the Jets finish second, then
I didn't
think
say
that.
the Jets finished second. I said the Patriots finished second.
Oh man.
No, now it's
Oh,
not looking in.
man.
Aaron Rodgers is a bust. There goes your draft for next year.
Hey, and you know what? It's crazy because he's actually sober right now. Well, he's had a couple of sips. But
Boogie boogie.
anyway, hey, this was our podcast on the AFC East. Come back because we're going to be doing the NFC North coming up. We're going to do the Bears, Lions, Vikings, and who's the other team? Packers. Ugh. And we're not having bigs here.
No more bigs.
No
Don't have to
more.
worry about that. You guys can do it.
But thank you for watching. All right, remember to like the video, subscribe, so that when we get those subscribers up, we're trying to get as many views. Thank you to everybody that's been watching. We appreciate it. This has been Worst Case Scenario.
Respect the sheep.